Good evening, folks. Ken Hovind here in the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama. It is September 24th, 2020. If I'd have known I was going to live this long, I'd have taken better care of myself. How many of you feel the same way? Okay. We're the folks who believe the Bible is true and the evolution theory is dumb. God made everything, and I mean everything, in 6 days. He told us he did in the 10 Commandments. Exodus 20, he said, remember the Sabbath to keep it holy, for in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, the dinosaurs, the stars, I added that part, and all that in them is, everything made in 6 days. So you can forget about COVID. You need to vaccinate your kids against evolution propaganda. They're going to be taught that in school, forced down their throat. Get my video series, Creation Science Seminar Series, $50 for 18 hours, and it'll vaccinate them, trust me. We'll talk more about vaccines in a minute. Now, if you have not seen Fossil Facts and Fantasies by Joe Taylor, we're giving a signed copy to anybody, not that that adds or detracts from the value, but I signed several of them. If you want to get one of those for $25, call 855-BIG-DINO, extension 1, and Will will answer the phone, okay? You don't really quite have Julie's voice yet, or Anna. Does Anna answer the phone?
She does.
Hi, this is Anna. What? Okay. Question answer. Huh?
She can do Julie.
You can do Julie's voice?
And Anna too. Hi, this is Anna.
Hi, this is Julie.
No,
can I help you? Okay, let's see. Those who teach dinosaurs lived millions of years ago and died before man got here are calling God a liar. They're calling Jesus a liar, just so you're aware of that. Okay? Dinosaurs always lived with man, and we have Dinosaur Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama. Okay, visitors tonight. Scott, Matthew, and Kenneth. I gave you the tour today, and you're from where again?
Near Atlanta, Athens, and McDonough.
Near Atlanta. How'd you like Dinosaur Adventureland so far?
Loved it.
Did you take the inside tour?
Well, we did, yes.
Did my wife give you that tour?
She did.
Okay. And the boys survived the real tour outside, right? Yeah. Okay. And Taryn, where are you from?
Childers, Arizona.
Arizona.
Yep.
Childers. I've been to Childers, Arizona. Awesome. And you came all the way here to help Dinosaur Adventureland.
For sure.
And you didn't even get the tour yet.
Nope. I got here and they put me right to work.
You put you right to work. Okay.
That's why I came.
Now, is there anybody here who knows what this is?
Yes.
That is a Catholic COVID baptism. Squirt gun. You got to stay 6 feet away with a squirt gun. Catholic COVID. Okay. It's long overdue. The new kitchen is well underway. I said yesterday we need 7,000 to finish. Now it's only 4,000 if you want to help. That was yesterday's picture. And let's see, here is today's picture. Roof on, well, mostly on, part of it. So come on down, help us build that place. Let's see, 121 baptized now in our lakes, and we still need somebody to come from Ohio and carry that huge stove and 2 fryers down here. Call Jacob Moore if you want to help us do that. If you're coming this way, we need help. Let's see, to come take the tour. Help us stay open for free by joining our 777 club. I got the idea from Aaron Nelson, who calls himself Aaron Ra, the atheist, I debated him. He said, he has a 666 club. He said, I need 666 of you atheists to give me $1 a day, $31 a month. I thought, well, Aaron, it's only going to make you gain weight. Okay, you don't need that. Then I thought, man, we got 40 people living here that I got to feed and house and utilities and all that. We need, if you want to help, right? For what, 50 this week, right? So if you want to help us stay open for free, go to drdino.com to the donate page and make any checks to CSE and help us win souls and influence people. Okay, we are talking about what's going to happen in the future, going through the book of Revelation. Tonight's going to be very controversial. You may want to shut it off right now. Okay, no. The Old Testament is everything before Jesus came. That's 39 books. And the New Testament is everything after Jesus came. The little yellow stripe here on this bottom chart is greatly expanded to be this 7-year period. On the top chart, we have that big poster over here. You can look at all the details on that. So we're studying the book of Revelation. To give you the background, the first 4 books of the New Testament are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the 4 Gospels. They're biographies of Jesus. John wrote the book of John. Anybody want to guess who wrote Matthew? Matthew, very good, okay. John also wrote 3 little short letters, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, and he wrote the book of Revelation. God told him what to write. We're going to be in chapter 6 tonight. Hang on. Let's pray first. Heavenly Father, teach us from your word. Lord, help us to rightly divide this book. Father, show us what the truth is now. In Jesus' name, amen. In 2 Timothy chapter 2, Paul wrote to Timothy, his young disciple who was training to be a preacher. He said, of these things, put them in remembrance, charging them before the Lord that they strive not about words to no profit. Quit arguing about stuff that doesn't matter. English version, Hovind version. But to the subverting of the hearers, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. You know, there are lots of different ways to wrongly divide the word of truth. I pray fervently that God will help me rightly divide. And if I don't know on a particular topic, you've all heard me say it, I don't know what that verse means. I wish I did. Someday I hope I do. Right now I don't know. We're going to try to rightly divide, Revelation chapter 6. He said, but shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. Okay, Revelation 6. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals. Remember, John was shown the vision of somebody holding a book with 7 seals. And in that culture, they would take a drop of wax, put wax on something. You know, let's say you got a book, you want to make sure nobody tampers with it. You put wax on it, and the king would take his ring and put his seal in there. And they come and say, I want to see what's in there, and they break it. Well, he doesn't have the king's ring to make the right seal. So the seal was a way of documenting that it hadn't been tampered with. And so John said, who's worthy to open the book and to open these seals? And the Lamb opened one of the seals, which is obviously Jesus Christ. And I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. One of the 4 beasts saying, come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. The scholars have argued about this verse for a long time. What does this mean? I believe this is the first of the 7 seals that take place during the time that we are here. We are raptured out, we'll see later in this evening, at verse 12, when the sun and the moon go dark. We're here for the first 5 seals. I used to teach we get raptured out before any of this happens. No, not true. So the first, a white horse, a bow, and a crown was given unto him. Best interpretation I've heard of this is he's got a bow but no arrows, and he comes, hey, I'm coming to bring peace. See, I'm unarmed. I'm going to bring peace on earth. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. He's going to use diplomacy to try to get treaties and make a covenant. A bow but no arrows. Seems to be the best interpretation of that. And when he opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given unto him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. There's going to be a short time of peace and tranquility, and everybody's going to think, wow, this is great. We got a treaty and nobody's fighting. And then it all disappears and vaporizes. And that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. There are going to be wars break out all over the planet. You're going to see the economy crash, I suspect, and people will be fighting over everything. I'll show you one in a minute. When he opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. This is balances, to weigh something. Okay? A black horse, and he had balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Well, what on earth does this mean? A measure of wheat. A measure of wheat. A measure is approximately 1 quart. A quart of wheat for a penny. Well, what's that mean? Price of wheat is $5.42 a bushel right now for a bushel of wheat. Let's see, there are 32 quarts in a bushel. So today, a quart of wheat costs about, 17 cents. Watch this carefully. A measure of wheat for a penny. A quart of wheat. In Matthew 20, Jesus tells the story about the guy who sent out the laborers into his vineyard to get, help him pick the crop. These would be the common guys sitting around the labor pool hoping somebody hires them that day. They would be the minimum wage laborers. He wanted to hire laborers to his vineyard. And when he agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into the vineyard. Oh, So a penny is considered a day's wages for an average minimum wage person. Well, here's the minimum wage in different states. You know, there's no minimum wage in Alabama. There's no minimum wage in New Hampshire, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, or Tennessee. But let's take an average and say minimum wage for a non-skilled labor is about $70 a day. Let's say it's going to work an 8-hour day and he gets 8 1/4 an hour or something like that, okay? So if a measure of wheat, if a quart of wheat went to $70, now it is 17 cents. Wheat is currently $5.40 a bushel. 32 quarts in a bushel, so wheat's about 17 cents a quart. It'll be $70 a quart, or $2,240 a bushel, 415 times what it is today. If wheat went up 415 times more than it is today, I think that's a verse telling us there's going to be famine and the price of food is going to go through the roof. Any of you ladies do any cooking here? What do you make with wheat? What are some things you make with wheat? Bread, biscuits, donuts, oatmeal. What else is made from wheat? A lot of stuff. Wheat is a staple in our diet. What cereal? You should see how much wheat there is in all the different cereals that we eat. What if a box of Cheerios went up 400 times higher than it is today? Average loaf of bread. Back in 1940, before World War II, a loaf of bread was about 5 cents. A loaf of bread in 2011 was about $1.40. Today, let's say it's $1.75. Okay, does that sound about right for a loaf of bread? You ladies, $2? Okay, $2 a bushel.
Depends how healthy you get it.
Depends how healthy you get it. Okay, so if a loaf of bread is $1.75 today, it's going to cost $726 for a loaf of bread when the third seal is broken. I heard him say, a measure of wheat for a penny. Whoa. It's coming, folks. We're here for it. Hovind prediction, this is in the next couple of years. We'll see. And when it opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword, with hunger, with death, and with beasts of the earth. 1/4 of the world's population is going to be killed. Well, in 1999, there were 6 billion people in the world. Today, it's about 7.5 billion. So nearly 2 billion people are going to be killed during that fourth seal. And we're here for it. You're going to see it. Human population in 1985 was 5 billion. In 1800, it was 1 billion. I covered this in my seminar part 1, showing this is one of the indications the earth is not billions of years old. 1800, about 1 billion people. So the population has grown rapidly in the last 200 years. Nobody argues about that. But they've got this going back to just a few people, 4000 BC, 2.5 million. Nobody figured out how to make babies for 2 million years? You atheists are morons. I think I've seen some real dumb people figure out how to make babies, okay? So, how many know what I'm talking about? You've seen some of them, right? Okay. The population growth. Look, this is an indication man's only been here about 5,000 or 6,000 years, folks. Yeah. Okay, anyway. Population growth throughout history. 1492, when Columbus sailed the ocean blue, there were only 1/2 billion people on the planet. 500 million. Now today they're hollering, the world is overcrowded. Oh no, the world's not overcrowded. Even with the 7 billion people we've got, the whole world's population would fit in Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville, Florida has 25 billion square feet in that city limits. 7 billion people could fit in there very easily. 7.44 billion, everybody would have 3.28 square feet. That's less crowded than an elevator. And that's just Jacksonville. You think the world's overcrowded? Has anybody ever driven across Kansas? Or New Mexico? Or Arizona? Or just drive across Texas. You go for 3 days. Are we still in Texas? We're still in Texas. So go to South Dakota. Go to Wyoming. No, the world's not overcrowded. If it's overcrowded where you are, it's very simple. Move. Okay. Come to Lennox. It ain't overcrowded here. Okay. Back when Jesus was here, there was about 250 million people in the world. 150,000 people per square inch is what we would have now if man had really been here for millions of years. No, man has not been here. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, current growth rate of the population is 1.7% annually. If the population growth rate were charted backward at a slower rate of only 0.5%, well, let's see, it's actually 1.7, but they're going to be, say, only 0.5%, the result would be a handful of people alive 4,500 years ago. Anybody want to guess who that handful of people was? Noah and his family. Yeah, you guys are getting close. Keep studying, okay? Noah's post-flood world population would have been 8. On the other hand, consider if the population growth rate were an extremely slow rate of only 1/100th of a percent. 1/770th of today's growth rate. At that rate, starting 1 million years ago, as evolution is proposed, man came on. An adventurous monkey and his wife stood up and were considered people. It would mean a doubling of the number of people every 7,000 years, which is a ridiculously slow rate. Okay? An average of 2 increased to 4 in 7,000 years, and then became 8 after 7,000 more years. I would say this is being very lenient to you dumb evolutionists, okay? A stunning 142 doublings would occur in 1 million years. At that super slow rate, a population accounting to a ridiculously large, let's see, million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, quintillion, sextillion, septillion, octillion, novillion, decillion. What comes after decillion? Oncillion, docillion, I don't know. I can't count that high. A lot of people. That's 10 followed by 43 zeros. See, God told Adam and Eve, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. Go fill the earth, go have a lot of kids. God formed the earth to be inhabited. That's why he made it. He wants there to be lots of people. And he wants there to be lots of people at his coronation when we can all be singing praises to him. But we got some people who hate God, like Jacques Cousteau, who said in order to stabilize world population, we have to eliminate 350,000 people a day. Okay, Jacques, you go first. Ted Turner, CNN, the Communist News Network, said a total world population of 250 million, 95% decline. Whoa, okay, Ted, you go next. And take your ex-wife Hanoi Jane with you, okay? You can both go next, okay? Eric Pianka said at University of Texas in Arlington, he said we need to use Ebola or something like that, airborne disease, to eliminate 90% of the world's population. All right, Eric, go ahead. Drink a glass. Yes, sir.
It's funny that the evolutionists, they are asking for a new plague, and yet here comes COVID and everybody's wearing masks because they're afraid of it.
Yeah, interesting. They want the population reduced and we get COVID and now they're worried about it.
Yeah. And we're the bad guys for not wearing masks.
Cuckoo, cuckoo. Okay, let's see. Eric, I forgot this guy's name here. Paul Elrich said we need to cut the world population and redistribute the resources. Oh, what does that mean? Communism 101. Let's kill this guy and take his stuff for me. Redistribute the resources. That's code. Okay, Paul, you go ahead and kill yourself. All right. United Nations said we need to reduce the population of the world. Okay, you all get off anytime you want. The goal of the New World Order, folks, is to reduce the population to 500 million. Now, they don't know, but actually, it's Satan getting them to think that way. And once they do the dirty work for the devil to get down to 500 million, he's going to finish them off too. And here's why. In Genesis chapter 3, the serpent was one of those, tricked Eve. And the Lord said to the serpent, you're going to be cursed above all cattle, and you got to crawl on your belly and eat dust. And he said, I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head. Oh. The devil knows someday some seed of the woman is going to bruise his head. And so he's trying to kill every human being to stop that from happening. Anybody remember Christmas Eve when Herod wanted to kill baby Jesus? What did he do to be sure he got him? Slew all the children in Bethlehem. Now, according to Jewish tradition, there were 22 babies killed that night. I don't know if that's true or not, but Bethlehem's a small town. Charles Wooster, Environmental Defense Fund. People are the cause of all the problems. We need to get rid of some of them. Okay, Charlie, get off anytime you want. Right? Bill Clinton signed the Biodiversity Treaty. He said we must reduce the Earth's population to 1 billion or reduce the standard of living to an agrarian peasant status. Okay, Bill, why don't you go next? They've already got the United States divided up into regions where you're not allowed to go. Let's see. No humans allowed in the red areas because we're harming the planet. I see, okay. Peter Singer, Princeton University. He said, Christianity is our foe. If animal rights is to succeed, we must destroy the Judeo-Christian religious tradition. Peter Singer is trying to push for abortions after the baby's born. You got 28 days to decide if you want to keep it. I got a better idea. Let's extend abortion rights up until the kid's 18. I bet they'd behave a lot better. Okay, now, son, let me explain it to you. One more time, son, I'm going to abort you. Think about it. Just think about it for a minute. You go next, Peter. BioEdge, after birth abortion. That's what they're pushing for. Greg said from Rockefeller Foundation, the world has cancer. The cancer is man. Got to kill off the people. Alan, you go next, okay? Prince Philip, husband of Queen Elizabeth. A lot of people don't know this. Queen Elizabeth invented the microwave. You ever see her in parades? Go like this? Yeah. That'll take a few minutes to soak in. Okay. Philip said, if I could be reincarnated, I would wish to return to Earth as a killer virus to lower human population levels. Okay, Philip, you go next. Here's one of the many, many, many ways they're all working together to try to reduce the population. How many have ever seen these things sprayed in the sky? Yes. Chemtrails. Now this is where it gets controversial, and I'm going to get 30 comments saying, Hovind, you're stupid, you don't know what you're talking about. They'll say, those are condensation trails. It's been proven that's contrails. Let me explain something. This is the engine. This produces contrails, condensation. You compress the gas, and then when the pressure is released, you get a condensation trail. I'm very familiar with that, okay? This is not the engine. Those are not condensation trails. Right. There's lots of, I haven't checked these websites recently to see if they're still active, but lots of websites. Want to reduce the population to 350,000 people. You've got to kill 350,000 people a day. Well, they're spraying this stuff all over. Let's see. This airplane has 4 engines and is making 6 trails. 7, one out of the tail. Here's the inside of it. They're not contrails. And you guys doing all these websites trying to call us conspiracy nuts for believing in chemtrails, you are covering up, aren't you? You're a liar, aren't you? I saw this article today, Richmond County Daily Journal. Chemtrails, what are they spraying? There have been many independent tests done over the past 5 years. It does not look good. It has been confirmed that all around our country, a cocktail of dangerous and extremely poisonous chemicals are being dispersed. This includes barium, cadmium, nickel, mold spores, yellow fungal mycotoxins, and the best radioactive thorium. This is not the total list. The one chemical being sprayed the most is aluminum. It can cause all sorts of health problems. Chemical primarily attacks the central nervous system. Why would they spray aluminum? Aluminum oxide, yes, sir?
5G network.
The 5G network
Microwave energy
will activate it.
Yep.
It all ties together. Anyway, HHS Public Access, a peer-reviewed and accepted for publication journal. Whoa. Human Health Risk Assessment for Aluminum, Aluminum Oxide, and Aluminum Hydroxide. You mean it's unhealthy? Well, if they're spraying it out in the sky and it slowly comes down on the ground, then the plants are going to absorb it and the animals are going to eat the plants.
milk, cheese.
And we're going to eat the animals or the milk or the cheese or the plants. So it's going to get into everybody's system. In the study of animals, it's important to note a few reports have been documented of pathological accumulation of aluminum. Accumulations of aluminum in the brain of rats feeds diets high in aluminum. From the animal studies, a clear association of aluminum exposure. It is clear that the high levels of aluminum can lead to neurotoxicity. affects your nervous system, makes you go crazy. The animals are going to be attacking the people. The animals are going to go nuts. Why? Well, didn't John just say in Revelation when he opened that seal, there's going to be a fourth of the world killed by beasts of the earth? Wasn't that one of them? Could it be the animals are going to go nuts? What if your own cat attacks you in the middle of the night? Anyway, they're spraying this stuff, and this is not condensation trails, okay? If you think I'm a conspiracy nut, I'll gladly wear the title of believing chemtrails are dangerous, and it's part of probably a government cover-up. I don't know who's doing it, but it's not condensation trails. That pilot should lose his license if he drove around like that.
Yep.
He's drunk. How many remember the movie Wizard of Oz?
Yes.
The Wicked Witch wanted to get a message to Dorothy, didn't she? How did she do it?
Yeah,
She sprayed it in the sky, didn't she? Surrender, Dorothy. Yeah. What's that, 50 years ago that movie was made? Engineered extinction. Catherine Bertino said, food is power. We use it to control behavior. Yeah, they're going to get the price of food up so high that they can control your behavior. Oh, you don't want to take a chip? I'm sorry, you can't buy or sell. Yeah, but we're going to starve. Yeah, I know. Go ahead and take the chip. Other way they do it is with vaccinations to lower the human population. There's a website, Emerging Viruses, Len Horowitz. Every person in the military considering having their children vaccinated needs to read this info. Learn what really caused Gulf War syndrome. Tetrahedron.org, BillSardi.com. His website is also knowledgeofhealth.com. He's one of the trustees of our ministry. VacLib, Vaccine Liberation. More than 22,000 reports of hospitalizations, including 300 deaths, following hepatitis B vaccines. Reported since 1996, I think was the date. Oh, interesting. Childhood shots. Babies before and after being vaccinated. It is unreal what's happening with autism. I found the whole vaccine business was a gigantic hoax. Most doctors are convinced they're useful, but if you look at the proper stats and study the instances of these diseases, you will realize that this is not so. You cannot immunize sick children, malnourished children, and expect to get away with it. You'll kill far more children than would have died from natural infection. There's a growing suspicion immunization against relatively harmless childhood diseases may be responsible for the dramatic increase in autoimmune diseases. You know, one of the large ingredients in vaccines is aluminum. There are fearful diseases like cancer, leukemia, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease, blah, blah, blah. U.S. is the #1 in number of vaccines injected into babies prior to age 1. They don't even have a good immune system yet. Have we gone nuts? Now these people, well, they know why vaccines cause brain damage we call autism. Dr. Hovind, we have a son that was damaged by MMR vaccine, mumps, measles, rubella. He lost his ability to walk, talk, and feed himself. The government has a fund that compensates for injuries due to vaccines. Vaccine Injury Fund, huh? Our 8-year-old Joshua has won this. Wow, what a prize to win. This business of shots for tots is aimed at seeing that children under 2 are fully vaccinated by their doctor's offices. You would not believe what's going on in this area. After studying this for the last 4 years, Satan is seeing to it that well-meaning parents are destroying their baby's immune system by putting 22 viruses into their system before they are 2. I would recommend you do some study before you do something like that. This guy believes HIV is a monkey hybrid virus. It was in the polio vaccine given to 26 million Americans between 1955 and 1961. My mother and father in East Peoria, Illinois, started a club called the Walking or Wheeling, the WOW Club, because so many people were in wheelchairs, I mean young people, teenagers, children, in wheelchairs, I think because of the vaccine. I spent my early childhood pushing people around, going to parties, going bowling, pushing people in wheelchairs with this club my parents started. Great, great work they did. Walking or the WOW Club, I don't know if it's still going or not, East Peoria, Illinois. So many people were getting crippled up, I think, because of the vaccine. You did it to them. Can you think of anything in nature similar to that idea of let's put this little bit of poison in your body to prepare you to face the big bunch of poison. Do any animals do this? Do any plants do this? Have we gone nuts? Autism in Illinois went from 5 cases to 3,802 cases in 10 years. 76,000% increase. In 10 years, that was back, that's been 20 years now. We ought to look at what the date is now, what the stats are now. We're going nuts, folks. So when he opened that 4th seal, 1/4 of the world was killed by those 4 different methods. One of them was beasts of the earth. The animals are going to go crazy. I just have a theory. It's going to be because of the aluminum, because of what they're spraying in the clouds. Let's wait and see. When he opened the 5th seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? So many Christians are going to be killed. They're all going to be up in heaven saying, Lord, would you please stop this? Go avenge our blood. And God's going to say, you guys wait over here. I'm going to give you white robes. It's not over yet. I'm going to wait until everybody else, till this is all. I'm going to let Satan run his course, and then I'm going to handle things. Just relax. I'll take care of it. And when it opened the 6th seal, lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. Well, now that's an interesting statement. The sun became black, and the moon became like blood. That phrase, or something similar, is found 10 times in the Bible. First one's in the book of Isaiah. This is the last one right here, Revelation 6. If you look at my chart, we cover on that little yellow stripe, greatly expanded here. Right up here on that chart, right there, you can see all 10 verses about where the sun and the moon go dark. Matthew 24, Jesus' disciples came. They're sitting on the Mount of Olives, and they said, Lord, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Well, that's pretty simple. They're asking him 2 questions. Lord, when's this going to happen, and what sign should we watch for? Isn't that what they're asking? You got the same story in Mark chapter 13. Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign when these things are fulfilled? You got the same thing in Luke 21. While I was in prison, restudying this end times thing and realizing I believe in pre-trib and I'm wrong, I looked at these passages. I said, wait a minute, these are all the same. Luke 21. They said, Master, when shall these things be, and what sign shall there be? So I copied the pages out of my Bible, cut them out, and taped them side by side. Matthew, Mark, Luke. In the red box, they ask him, Lord, when are you coming, and what's the sign? Then, in Matthew, for the next 23 verses, he tells them all about the time of tribulation. In Mark, he does it for 19 verses. In Luke, he does it for 17 verses. You can read it for yourself. All the bad things going to happen. And in the middle of each of these ones is a verse about the abomination of desolation being set up. Well, that takes place in the middle of the 7 years. And at the end of each of these passages, down here at the bottom, right there, and right there, and right there, the yellow part, he says, well, let's see, I'll read it in Matthew first. Matthew 24. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. Whoa. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. Isn't that what Jesus' disciples heard when he went up in the cloud? The angel said, hey guys, he went up in a cloud, he's coming back the same way. Yes. Aren't all the Christians looking for Jesus coming in the clouds, blow the trumpet and all that stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. And he shall send his angels, and they shall gather together his elect. Matthew 24. In Mark 13. In those days, after the tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. And then shall he send his angels and gather together his elect. And talks about the trumpet and all that stuff. You can read those verses. So, the sun and the moon going dark is the sign. They asked him, Lord, when are you coming, and what's the sign? He says, guys, I'm coming after the tribulation when the sun and the moon go dark. So if you want to spot when the rapture takes place in the book of Revelation, we just read it, Revelation 6:12, which means we're here for Revelation 6:1 through 11. We're here when 1/4 of the world gets killed. We're here when their animals go nuts. We're here when wars break out all over the place. Sun and the moon going dark is the sign. It's mentioned 10 times. After the tribulation, the sun and the moon go dark. Before the day of the Lord, the sun and the moon go dark. It's simple to put them together. Joel chapter 2. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. I was guilty for 42 years of confusing the day of the Lord and the day of Christ. They are not the same. The day of the Lord is the 1,000-year period. It has two parts to it, a time of great wrath and a time of great blessing. I cover that in great detail in my book, What on Earth is About to Happen, for heaven's sake. If you don't have this, you might want to get that. 855 Big Dino, extension 1. So let's see, the sun and the moon go dark. Now Jesus told his disciples after the tribulation, the sun and the moon go dark. And here he says, the sun and the moon go dark before the great and terrible day of the Lord. Well, you ought to be able to put those together in series, 1, 2, 3. Acts 2, the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and notable day of the Lord come. So it's mentioned in Joel, and then in Acts chapter 2, he said, hey guys, this is what they told us would happen. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and notable day of the Lord. Acts chapter 1, verse 9. After he spoken these things, while they beheld, he, that would be Jesus, was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven, as he went up, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, probably angels, which said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as you've seen him go into heaven. He went up in a cloud, he's coming back in a cloud. So the sequence is very simple. There's a time of tribulation, then the sun and the moon go dark, and we are raptured out right there. Then the day of the Lord starts. Now, the tribulation we cover in my book and in my video series, WOE. Go to Kent Hovind official playlist and check out WOE, W-O-E, for what on earth is about to happen, okay? That was, about a year and a half ago we did all that. Then there's a time of wrath, and then the day of Christ, which is different than the day of the Lord, okay? So this little yellow stripe here is the 70th week of Daniel. We got them divided up into A, B, C, D, E in the book and in the video series. Okay, Revelation 6. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it's rolled together. This is the time when we are caught up out of here. We're gone. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come. First mention of wrath in the book of Revelation, right here, because the wrath comes after we're gone. We are here for tribulation. We are not here for wrath. People say to me, Hovind, we're not here for the tribulation because the Bible says God's children are not appointed unto wrath. I think it's Titus 1:9 or something like that. I say, read it carefully. We're not appointed unto what? Wrath. Yes. There's a time of great tribulation. We're raptured out. Then the wrath of God falls for 1,040 days. Hovind theory. We are up at the marriage feast of the Lamb. First we go to the judgment seat of Christ. Now this is only for Christians. This is not to determine if you go to heaven. This is to determine your rewards. Are you going to get gold, silver, precious stones, or wood, hay, stubble? It's already been determined you're going to heaven because you're at this judgment. This is only for Christians. The great white throne judgment later is for the heathen. We're raptured up, get our rewards. We go to the marriage feast of the Lamb. 1,040 days. Where do you get that, Brother Hovind? Well, in Daniel chapter 8, Daniel asked the guy showing him the vision, he said, how long's the temple going to be desolate? He said, 2,300 days. 2,300 days. Well, we know the desolation takes place in the middle. When the Antichrist breaks the treaty, the abomination of desolation is set up. So, and we know half of 7 years is 1,260 days. So what's 2,300 minus 1,260? 1,040. About 3 years. So there's about 3 years of wrath. Well, we're having 3 years of marriage feast. Remember the guy in the Bible going to show how rich he was, and he had a marriage party for 6 months? Everybody thought, wow, this guy's loaded. God's going to do it nearly 3 years. And then, see, Jesus comes down and calls his church up. He only comes as far as the clouds. This time, he comes down and we come with him all the way and touches down on the Mount of Olives and starts the Battle of Armageddon. That's how the time of wrath is closed out. So we're not here for the wrath. We are here for the tribulation. Get my chart, get my book, show me where I'm wrong, okay? Let's see, real quickly here. There's where we're caught up. The day of the Lord starts, 1,000 years. Now, the first 3 years is a time of great wrath. There are many verses about the day of the Lord talking about it being a time of wrath and vengeance and God's kicking butt all over to Sinai and everything else. And then at times, other places talk about a great time. The day of the Lord is, peace on earth, goodwill toward men. I got all the verses I could find in my book. Okay, so the 24 elders which sat before God on their seats fell upon their faces and worshipped God, saying, We give thee thanks, O Lord God Almighty, which art and wast and art to come, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power, and hast reigned. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come. This is later in chapter 11. We'll get to that. So the day of the Lord, 1,040 days, nearly 3 years of wrath, while we're up in heaven, far away from here as you can get. It says in Mark, he took them from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven. We will be way out there, not having any idea what's going on down here, while God's wrath is poured out. Hebrews 12. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that's set before us. He said, would you quit? Lay aside the weight. Get rid of the stuff that's slowing you down and get running. What are you spending your time, energy, and money on? Even Christian kids, they spend hundreds of dollars and thousands of hours on video games. Hello? Think about it. What good does this do? What on earth are you doing for heaven's sake? Find something to do. Some people are really good at a certain thing. Okay, we'll do it for the Lord. Some people are really good at making money. Maybe God gave you that gift so you can help support ministries that are winning souls. Maybe that's your gift, is paying for the stuff. Some people are good marksmen. Good sniper, hard to find. Okay, well, if you're not a good sniper, why don't you bring the guy lunch, or, rub his feet, or, bring him the bullets, or pay for the bullets, or do something. He's a good sniper. Help him, Some people are good soul winners. Maybe you say, I'm not a good soul. Okay, well, then find somebody who is and support them. Like, duh, there's a war going on. You're in the Marines, you know what it is. Find something to do. Right, okay. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, is set down at the right hand of God, at the right hand of the throne of God. For considering him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your minds. That we're coming into a time when many Christians are going to fall away. Many Christians. Jesus said a verse, I hate to use the word haunt, but this verse haunts me. Luke chapter 18. Verse number 8. I tell you, he will avenge them. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth? Is there going to be anybody left serving God when he finally comes back? What if the tribulation started this month? What if we saw those first 6 seals opened? What if we saw the beasts of the earth go crazy and 1/4 of the population killed, and you can't buy or sell till you have a mark in your hand, and the price of a loaf of bread goes to $400 a loaf? Would you keep serving God, or would you sell out for a loaf of bread? We'll see. Any questions? Revelation 6. Okay, it's supposed to be a debate tonight. I apologize. Steve was sick, our tech guy. We couldn't get all the stuff together. So we'll have the debate later. I forget the guy's name. What was his name? David? No? Anyway, doesn't matter. We'll take on all the atheists and evolutionists. Doesn't matter. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye.